The thing about this plan is that it does solve a lot of the problems, if not most of them, and I think it allows for us to change those over time. The debate about marshalling cars in the Cove is a very good one, but our choice was that if we have one lane or perhaps 2 lanes of marshaled cars in the Cove, those are stationary elements. That's a very safe street that could be easily pedestrian dominated. The eddies, for instance, could really contribute to that. I think that's a great idea. But again, that doesn't happen unless that rush of off-going traffic is not coming through the Cove. So I just ask you to consider that point. I think it's an important point about the traffic flow. I'll leave the rest for a personal debate later.
Great, great. And actually, you know, that civic square you're showing there, it really exists today. Like if you look at when we have parades, traffic doesn't go through there. You don't necessarily have to have special pavement and spend $1 million on a plaza to create a great space. You really need a community to create a great space. And so it does exist today, and I think it would work the way you're envisioning. Maybe we could debate the traffic ad nauseum, but...
There's a hand back there.
And my compliments, great plan. Probably the best plan I have seen in the context of Snug Cove. And I've seen many. And some very good. One was actually done by Doug Berry and Don Nicholson and Brian Redmond and myself in '81.
I've seen it.
So today, in 2008, and looking at this so far astonishing, perfect plan, I wished you would work for developers right now, and I say that for good reasons, I hope. Because if you would represent a developer now, you would be grilled by the public, and then ultimately council would have to make a decision to either approve that plan or not. And council at that time would say, well, developer, we want to know in what time frame will you do that? In what sequence? What's in for us? And all those things, because the plan is only as good as it's being executed. And the execution of this wonderful plan depends on the timing. So why I would today say I would prefer you would work for a developer is the timing and everything which would make this plan real is left to a public body which is not meant to do it. So I would say, before I say, great, now we found the solution, I would say, then how do we get there? And I would say that's the next big, very big decision which has to be made. Not a decision which you can make, but that's rest with the wisdom of, must be Freudian that I can't get the wisdom out. With the wisdom of our council. Finally, thank you. So I'm not sure if I make clear what I'm 66 in a few weeks, and if I can see actually just some happening in my lifetime. So that's all I wanted.
It's actually,
well, you got the message.
It's actually a very good point, and just so you know, I do work for a lot of developers, so
I know.
You have my number. But there are people in this room that I've talked to that are willing to step forward and put some dollars in front of this from the development side. And there are people I know that are very sensitive developers in Vancouver that are very interested by this too. So you're right, the meeting of those and the surplus land sale might be the first step in that is critical. And I think, as a community, and this wouldn't be unique to Bowen, if we see some shining star example of a great building that's sustainable, has this great streetscape and a cool restaurant in it, and sensibly fits into the trees, we're all going to go, okay, this might be possible. I agree. You have to see it.
You were talking about the civic center, and I'm just wondering, in that sort of community plan section up there, Was there any sort of thoughts about swimming pools, ice rinks, or is it just still small for going, doing arts and crafts, singing, whatever and stuff?
No, very good question.
If you're still leaving the island.
Very good question. This parcel here has been, and because it's relatively flat, given the topography here, is part of the civic site that we're carving out for that very exact reason, to allow for a larger gym or a swimming pool or an ice rink in the future. That's dedicated space for that exact reason.
So it's just something that's in the thoughts, but nothing specifically for use or anything? at this
Well,
point in
it's
time?
been difficult enough working through the civic facilities to get a reasonable financial reality for this component, which includes a small gym and a substantial theater. So that's sort of phase one. But future phases would be municipal hall, and potentially, if we grow enough, absolutely those could take place.
Okay, and then the buildings like down sort of on the main cove area, is there sort of like, are we talking like bringing over IGAs or Save-Ons or any kind of big shopping, or do we all still have to sort of pull off the island to do our major shopping or whatever we do in town?
Well,
on the weekends or during
that's
the
why
week?
we've allowed up on site one a footprint of 60,000 feet, and similarly down on the parking lot, the opportunity for those types of tenants. I'm sure as a community we'll have a lot to say about the brand of those, because we're very, very specific about that, but those opportunities certainly exist, and smaller food stores of note are possible too. But frankly, we're fairly well served for that type of service at this point.
Very expensively served too.
Yes, true.
Just elaborate a little bit.
But with the water down there, like obviously all these buildings are gonna have water, which I'm assuming is gonna come out of the Cove Bay somewhere along the way. I mean, somebody has to supply it all. And then you had a point of a slide there showing Dorman Road with some of the parking on the side, and the potential use for whatever along the side there. There have been people that have requested water within areas of Millers Road, Dorman Road, and they've been rejected as it stands now.
Yes.
So it means all of a sudden, do these places automatically get it right away, or what about the existing people that have applied for it in the past?
Well, Brad, who's hiding behind you, might be able to answer that better. But just an overview from a planning point of view, there is some capacity in the system. We've investigated some other possible water locations and recycling of rainwater and lowering use of rainwater. The slides I showed about collecting roofs, the civic facility, hopefully the recreation component will be the first building to do that with a butterfly roof recycling its rainwater and stormwater. So there are a number of alternatives that we identified. Maybe Brad can speak to that particular issue, I don't know.
Yeah, as